Did you know that your unconscious mind already knows who the love of your life is, even before your conscious thoughts notice it? Carl Jung, one of the most famous psychologists in history, found something that will totally change how you look at love. I want to warn you right away that what you are about to hear might make you rethink all your past and current relationships. It could even explain why you have felt a strange sense of emptiness in connections that seemed perfect on paper. There is an invisible force, a hidden pattern in your mind that acts like a cosmic magnet, pulling toward you exactly the person you need to finish your growth process. Jung called this the anima and animus. This force is working in your life right now as you read these words, affecting every choice you make about love without you even knowing it. But here is the part that might worry you. Most people ignore these signs because they are too busy chasing what they think they want instead of seeing what their soul truly needs. When I say soul, I do not mean the simple romance of movies. I am talking about something much deeper that can change the very core of who you are. Over more than 40 years of studying the human mind, Jung saw patterns that repeated over and over in his patients. He discovered that those who found true love, the kind that truly changed their lives, felt certain specific signals that most people missed or misunderstood. These are not accidents or romantic dreams, but real signs of deep forces working in the most basic parts of our brain. The first sign that you have found the love of your life is something Jung called the activation of your inner counterpart. This goes far beyond what regular psychology calls compatibility. In every man, there is an unconscious feminine side that Jung called the anima. In every woman, there is an unconscious masculine side called the animus. These are not just ideas. They are real forces that can be seen through brain and hormone changes that guide every choice you make about love. Jung found that a man's anima grows mainly through his early experiences with important women, especially his mother. However, it does not stop at that first stage. It grows throughout life by adding parts of every meaningful female experience. The animus in women follows a similar but opposite path, growing mainly through experiences with men. When you meet the love of your life, something amazing happens in your brain. This person naturally and easily starts your anima or your animus. I'm not talking about a simple physical attraction that might go away after a few weeks. I'm talking about a deep connection that happens in the most hidden layers of your being, in the areas of the brain that Jung called the collective unconscious. You feel as if this person wakes up parts of you that you did not even know were there. Suddenly, you begin to show sides of your personality that have been asleep for years or even decades. A man might find an emotional side he has hidden since he was a child. A woman might find a hidden strength and leadership skill she never knew she had. Have you noticed that some people can spend months or even years with you without ever making you feel like they truly know you? They might like you or even love you in some way, but there is an invisible wall that never breaks. Meanwhile, with others, you feel a strange sense of knowing them from the very first meeting. It is as if you have been waiting your whole life for that moment, like you have finally come home after a long trip through a strange land. This is not a coincidence or just a dream. It is your anima or animus recognizing its perfect partner, the missing piece of your mental puzzle. Jung saw that in this moment, parts of the brain linked to deep memories are turned on, as if we are remembering something we forgot a long time ago. But stay sharp, because here is something very important that most people miss. This feeling does not always feel good at first. In fact, it can be very upsetting. Jung found that when our deepest parts are touched, we experience a big shift. This means your whole mental structure changes to make room for this new energy. It is like someone has entered your mental home and started moving the furniture without asking you. You might feel a strange mix of being fascinated and being afraid, as if this person has the power to change you in ways you cannot control or predict. This is exactly where you should pay attention. True love, the love of your life, does not leave you the same. It changes you at a deep level. This change is not a choice. You cannot only have the happy parts of this experience experience. It is a full package that includes shaking up parts of your personality that you thought would never change. Shutterstock Jung warned that many people run away at this exact moment because they are afraid of how big the change will be. The second sign is closely linked to what Jung thought was the most important part of growing up: the integration of the shadow. We all have a shadow, which is the part of us we have hidden or rejected because it does not fit the image we want to show the world. The shadow holds our bad sides, but also our hidden talents, quiet passions, and basic instincts. During his long research, Jung discovered something very interesting. The shadow does not go away when we ignore it. Instead, it becomes more powerful and starts to ruin our relationships from behind the scenes. Most relationship fights, according to Jung, are not really about the small things people argue about. They are about hidden shadow parts being blamed on the other person. When you meet the love of your life, something happens that most relationships never reach. This person can see your shadow without running away from it. Even more, in a mysterious way, they help you bring your shadow into your daily life in a healthy way. They do not judge you for your dark sides. They do not try to fix or change you. They simply accept all of you with an understanding that goes beyond logic. Have you ever been with someone who made you feel like you could be completely yourself, even your worst parts? I am not talking about someone who just puts up with your flaws. I mean someone who somehow turns those flaws into strengths, or at least sees them in a new way. For example, your habit of being too critical, which ruined past relationships, suddenly becomes a helpful skill for fixing problems. Your stubbornness, which others hated, turns out to be great determination when used for good goals. Your high sensitivity, which has caused you so much pain, becomes a great tool for understanding others. But be careful, this also means that this person will constantly test your ego. They will challenge you, not in a mean way, but in a way that forces you to face parts of yourself you would rather keep hidden. If someone in your life does this naturally and kindly, without becoming your enemy, you should pay attention. This could be one of the clearest signs of true love. This challenge does not feel like an attack. It is an invitation to grow and to become a more complete version of yourself. Jung saw that fights in these types of relationships do not break the bond, but make it stronger, because both people know they are growing together. The third sign is perhaps the most mysterious and powerful of all, which is synchronicity. Jung created this idea after years of seeing that certain events seem to be connected by more than just luck. He defined synchronicity as meaningful coincidences that show there is a deeper order in the world that goes beyond the laws of cause and effect. When it comes to the love of your life, these meaningful coincidences happen much more often and in very unlikely ways. I am not talking about simple things like meeting in the same shop. I mean a series of almost impossible events that seem to work together to bring you two together in a way that logic cannot explain. Jung wrote about cases where his patients had chains of coincidences so complex that he calculated the math of them happening by chance. In some cases, the chance was 1 in several million. These could be meeting again and again in places where neither of you should have been, or being connected by people who had no idea you were supposed to meet. They could even be dreams that come true in a very exact way. But these coincidences connected to the love of your life have certain things that make them different from normal luck. First, they tend to happen more during times of trouble or when making big choices in the relationship. Second, they often involve symbols or pictures that mean a lot to both people. Third, they often involve things that seem to come from outside your normal life. Jung believed that these events are signs that we are following our true path toward what he called the archetypal self, which is the most real and complete version of who we are. When you experience a string of coincidences centered around one specific person, your unconscious mind is sending you a very clear message. This person is playing a major role in your personal growth. Have you noticed that with some people, these meaningful accidents happen all the time? It feels as if the universe is working hard to keep you connected, creating meetings that you never planned. It is as if a higher power is arranging things to make sure your paths cross again and again. But the most interesting part is that these signs do not stop once you are together. Instead, they get stronger and change into even more powerful forms. You begin to experience a deep connection that goes beyond what modern science can explain. You might often think the same thing at the exact same time, much more than luck could ever explain. You might have similar dreams without talking about them first. You might have gut feelings about how the other person is feeling that turn out to be perfectly right. It is as if you share a common emotional radar. Jung wrote about couples who were thousands of miles apart but felt physical pain at the same time when the other was in trouble. This is not just a fantasy or your imagination. It is a real event that Jung studied for many years. This deep connection is not about being needy or depending on someone else. It is something much more profound. It is as if you have found a shared energy that lets you understand each other without using words or physical touch. The fourth sign is linked to what Jung saw as his most important work, the patterns shared by all humans. According to Jung, there are universal ways of acting and feeling inside all of us. These patterns include figures like the lover, the warrior, the artist, and the wise leader. Jung found that most people only use a small part of these patterns. This makes us feel like we are missing something, like we are only playing a few notes in a large song. Life can feel small and boring, as if we are stuck playing the same role every day. When you find the love of your life, you discover that this person acts like a master key. They unlock many different parts of you at once. They don't just wake up your romantic side, they might also bring out your inner wisdom, your bravery, or your creativity. This shows up in real ways. You might find you are braver than you thought, kinder to others, or smarter in your choices. This does not happen because you are pretending, but because their presence truly unlocks hidden parts of your personality. Jung noticed that in deep relationships, both people help the other reach their highest potential. It is as if each of you holds the secret code to open the other's hidden treasures that may have been locked away for years. Have you ever been with someone who makes you feel like your best self without even trying? Their mere presence brings out parts of you that you didn't know you had. It is like a piano that has finally found a musician who can play all the keys. This change has huge effects on your daily life. Your creativity grows, your courage increases, and your sense of humor gets better. It is as if this person has turned on the lights in rooms of your mind that have been dark for a very long time. This change works both ways. You have the same effect on them. Together, you create an energy that helps both of you become your most honest and full selves. Jung saw that couples who experience this often develop skills that neither had alone. Their shared intelligence and creativity are much higher than what they could do by themselves. The fifth and last sign is perhaps the most important of all. It is the strong feeling that you are living your own special story with this person. Jung believed that everyone is born with a unique path that gives our lives meaning. This story is not something we make up. It is a pattern that guides us from birth to death. Most people live their lives without knowing what their story is. They act in a play, but never got the script. They know they are on stage, but they don't understand the big picture. When the love of your life shows up, everything suddenly starts to make sense. This person does not just fit into your life. Their presence makes your life deeper and more complete. It is as if you had only lived half of your story until now, and now you can finally see the whole thing. Jung saw that when two people find this connection, they experience a perfect balance. It is not about being the same or having no fights. It is about how your differences help each other create something bigger. This doesn't mean your past had no value. It means that all your past experiences, including your pain and your failures, were necessary steps that prepared you for this moment. Every hard time becomes wisdom. Every loss becomes a preparation for something better. Every moment of being alone was actually the time you spent building the strength you need for this connection. Jung called this the path to becoming who you are truly meant to be. He found that for most people, this process reaches its peak when they meet that one special person who helps them grow. Have you ever felt that your life with someone has a mystical meaning, as if all the broken pieces of your past finally came together to make a beautiful picture? But there is something very important to understand. Recognizing these signs requires a level of honesty that most people avoid. It is much easier to stay on the surface and focus on simple things like shared hobbies or looks than to look deep into a connection. Jung warned that most people run away from true love because it asks for too much growth and too much honesty. This kind of love does not let you stay small or hide. It constantly asks you to face your dark sides and improve yourself. This love requires you to let go of the idea that you can control everything. It requires trust in a process that you cannot fully explain. Are you really ready for that much change? Are you ready for someone to see all your weaknesses and fears, and for their love to grow even stronger because of them? If these 5 signs are in your life right now, do not ignore them because you are afraid. Your unconscious self is trying to tell you something important about your destiny. It is trying to show you a version of yourself you didn't know was possible. Jung did not see love as just a feeling that comes and goes. He saw it as a powerful force that can change your whole life and help you reach your highest potential. This force does not follow normal logic and cannot be forced. It can only be recognized and accepted when it truly appears. Jung also saw that the deepest connections often start in ways we don't expect. They can come from a friendship that grows slowly, or even from a conflict that shows how similar you really are. This kind of love rarely looks like a movie. Instead, it shows up slowly, like a sunrise, turning darkness into light. These 5 signs do not mean the relationship will be easy. In fact, Jung found that the deepest connections often involve more growth and more challenges, but they also offer something no other experience can: the chance to become who you were meant to be. Do not let fear or the desire for what is comfortable stop you from accepting this amazing gift. Your soul knows the truth even when your mind is full of doubt. You have a choice. You can stay in your old habits and remain small, or you can find the courage to accept the deepest change a person can go through. Jung said that meeting true love is like meeting the divine within yourself. Your unconscious already knows the answer. The only question is, will you be brave enough to listen to that inner wisdom, even if it changes everything you thought you knew? The signs are there for those brave enough to look. Your life story is waiting to be lived by someone who accepts the call of their highest destiny.